performance like that against Evan Sierra? I mean, by Evan Sierra, excuse me.
Yeah, well, no, and that's not to be disrespectful. I just didn't know if he had the stamina or the stuff to work that deep in a ball game. I think it was a good matchup because he likes to play up in the zone, and Ole Miss is a team that likes to swing up in the zone. I mean, they've got some big-bodied guys. They want to hit the ball at the ballpark, and they just struggled with Sierra. He's got pretty good vertical route on that fastball, and I think he mixed and matched enough where he was able to find some success against those free-swinging Rebels.
All right, so they took 2 of 3, and Missouri just swept A&M. I think I heard your questions and others in the post game. I think that'll help Justin Parker get the team ready rather than them being 0-27. Steve, if they go up there and get 2 of 3, now that they've done what they've done and they had the RPI jump, if they take 2 of 3, don't you think they're in?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I do. And, I think that's what made Saturday's game so big, right? Because, number one, we talked about it last week. I mean, I didn't want to roll into Columbia, Missouri, and those seniors be 0-27. I mean, they've been playing like the College World Series, trying to just get a dub, and they still may. They'll be jacked, after sweeping A&M. But I think if you're a coach, any possibility of your team overlooking that club has been eliminated.
Okay, I agree with that. Steve Robertson on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Gene's Page was hopping throughout the weekend with the rivalry series. Mississippi State's now put themselves in position for the postseason. All right, the coaching search. Where do you believe that they? I mean, this is a heavy lift. 99% of the time, teams can't do it. I mean, look who Texas. I mean, before Schlossnagle, look who Texas hired. We've talked about it, Steve. Corbin, we forget this. Corbin, Sully, Vitello, they were not sitting head coaches. So this is a tough poaching and lift. Do you believe that they are going to be able to lift a super successful head coach as their next head coach?
Yeah, I think it's a possibility. I don't know if it's a probability. And because there's so much out there, Bo, of guys really just want to feather their own nest, right? I mean, so it's like a big job like this comes along, and Mississippi State is a top 10 job in the country. When you look at facilities, fan support, financial commitment, well, you could use that as leverage to say, hey, well, Mississippi State's interested in me. I need more funding here. I need more scholarships. I need more in the way of facilities, and that happened the last time. John Cohen, about as savvy as a guy as we know, made some comments, I think, on your show. We're going to go out and hire the best baseball coach in America. And it didn't work out the way he intended. Now, ultimately, Lamonis won a national championship, but you don't see the big Power 4 move in baseball very often. You see a lot in football and basketball. That's what made that Schlossnagle move from A&M to Texas.
Right.
So noteworthy, just because you just don't see it very often. But, Jay Johnson, of course, went from Arizona to LSU and, wins the national championship. And if you look around the league, in recent years, more of the hires have been of the sitting coach variety. There was a run there, with, Butch going to Auburn, Nick going to Kentucky, and Vitello from Arkansas and Tennessee, where you saw a lot of high-profile, proven SEC assistants get the job. But in the last couple of years, the trend is really kind of reversed. You've seen a lot more. I guess Wes Johnson's probably the one exception. But, I think State's in a good position because they may be one of the only big schools looking. But you start thinking about Mike Early out there at A&M. That was kind of a Zach Arnett contract from what we understand. It's very Aggie-friendly. And you go from preseason number 1 to maybe not even making the tournament. I don't know how many donors are going to be on board with that.
I don't think he's not going to make it, Steve. Mississippi State's going to be competing against A&M in the next few days.
Yeah, I think that's probably a fair assessment, and I think that's probably, maybe that complicates things a little. And I've heard over the weekend that probably the guy that would be near or at the top of A&M's list will be Dan Hefner from Dallas Baptist. He was a candidate last time. They couldn't work some things out, and I think having the season as embarrassing as this one has been probably has some of those A&M people thinking, well, maybe we can live with some of this. So O'Connor, of course, was a finalist for that job too, and looked like he was probably 1 foot out the door when Virginia made some commitments to keep him. And so that could complicate things a little bit, but I still believe State's going to get a really good coach.
And if you were a betting man today, you would bet that it would be a sitting head coach?
I would still make that bet. Now, there's still a lot of push for Will Coggin. And, the things that I ask myself sometimes, like if you've looked at blank resumes, right, and blind resumes, and you thought, okay, well, where does this guy sit? And sometimes you ask yourself, well, if Will Coggin wasn't a Mississippi State alum, is he a priority candidate?
He's not.
And I would say, well, I don't think so. But I think because he is, that's one of the reasons that a lot of people are thinking, hey, the timing on this could be bad. Like, let's say, Bo, that you go out and you hire, a G5 guy, and he's really good, but not great. And then Coggin goes to, I don't know, maybe, Troy or somewhere like that. And the next thing you know, he has them in a super. You may have a coach who's too good to fire, and the guy you should have hired is killing it somewhere else, and then the timing may not work for you. So that's a difficult decision, for Zach Selman. But I think Zach needs to make a big hire. I think this administration needs a big hire. This fan base certainly needs somebody that's going to have Mississippi State winning and winning big very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, Will obviously has friends and family on Gene's page and other spots that are PR in this thing, and that's fine. But he wouldn't be in consideration if he hadn't been at Mississippi State, and that really should tell you all you need to know, Steve, about it.
Yeah. Maybe I think when you dig a little deeper, though, I mean, you look at, he was part of the staff, of course, that, helped recruit the team at Mississippi State that, won the SEC title in 2016. And, then he ends up going to Kentucky and helping recruit the team that ultimately went to Omaha. Now he's got Georgia on fire right now. I know they lost 2 of 3 over the weekend, but he can find players. But as you and I both know, there's a lot more to this than just going and finding and recruiting players. There's, especially at a job like this. And I hate to oversell the job, but then the demands of this job are very difficult to meet. And even for a guy like Chris Lamonis, who would coach in the Power 5 before, he was a guy at times early on, especially, that really struggled with, the fact that you got 3,500 people showing up on a Sunday to watch a fall baseball game. There's a lot of eyes on you here and start. Well, not everybody's ready for that.
Okay, O'Connor's a long shot. Who else?
Well, I think O'Connor obviously is still in the mix, and it's interesting, how they've gotten hot all of a sudden, and they may be a team that gets into that ACC pod format and that tournament makes a big run,
Okay.
So I think he's also kind of trying to show those guys, hey, you're better off keeping me. I'm the guy that's built this thing up from essentially nothing and made it a perennial NCAA tournament team. You and I talked a little bit about Willie Bloomquist last week. I'm hearing some intrigue, like among the agency and college baseball circles. I'm not hearing as much in Starkville, but Arizona State doesn't appear to be as committed to baseball as they once were. I think Arizona State's one of the top 15 programs in the history of college baseball. But
can you go one more segment?
Sure.
All right, Steve Robertson on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line, genespage.com 247 Sports. You're listening to the Out of Bounds Show. Brought to you by Kessler Prime and the Renaissance. Great steaks, unbelievable bourbon selection. KesslerPrime.com.